What's up, everybody? We back up in here, Hella Flagrant, the podcast. It's your main man, Hella Flagrant DM. I got my brother Sean B. Flagrant, and we stopped back in for another NBA playoffs update. Obviously, Houston Rockets, Golden State Warriors, big series going on right now. We tied it 2-2. We headed into Game 5, and everything is just looking crazy. I mean, we got foul situations. We got Rockets shooting three-pointers at a crazy clip. You got Austin Rivers off the bench scoring 10 points and you know what I'm saying, making them look good. Sean B, let's talk about it. What's going on, brother?
Man, so, I mean, yeah, it's been crazy so far. The series is 2-2, like you said. Both teams have won at home. So the Warriors won their first two games, obviously, at Oracle Arena. Houston won their last two games over their house. I don't know the name of their team, but they won down there.
Toyota Center, right?
That's right. Okay, Toyota Center. But both series of the games, two in Oakland, the two in Houston, have been completely different. Completely different teams have showed up in those two games at home. Houston Rockets look unbeatable when they've been playing in Houston. The Warriors, I wouldn't say unbeatable, but they've held home court when they were there. Game going back to Oakland tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this. But it's been interesting, to say the least. I mean, look, I'm just going to go back to the game yesterday that everybody's talking about simply because of this. Golden State Warriors came out there. Obviously, it hadn't get a lot of production from Klay Thompson or Steph Curry. They've been going on about Steph Curry hasn't been producing, that, you know, his playoff career is completely different than his regular season career, that he shrinks during the playoffs. Look, I understand all the narrative about it. It's false, first of all. Second of all, look, I know everybody has bad stretch of games. So let's just get that out of the way. Steph has been playing bad. I will say that. Yesterday's game, I wouldn't say he played great, but I mean, he hit around 30 points. Actually, he did hit 30 points. So I wouldn't say it was a failure as other games have been, but he did try to bring himself back, going to the basket, doing layups, not taking as many threes, just trying to get his rhythm back. Klay, on the other hand, has been terrible. Flat out terrible. Now, Klay is one of my favorite players in the entire world, so I'm not only saying this just because I know how he usually plays, and this is not it. I don't know what's going on. He's going to have to change something, but he's not defending, which is one of Klay's strong points. James Harden is going to the rack at will, taking him off the dribble, pump faking him, shooting that step back that he always hits. Klay's found him on 3-point plays, getting 4-point plays out of it. Offensively, he's struggling. The ball hasn't been moving around the perimeter like it usually has, mainly because Durant's kind of doing his own thing, which is cool because Durant's in his zone right now, so you kind of can't take the ball out of his hands. But it definitely is affecting Klay, and a little bit to some extent Steph Curry as well on their shooting because the ball hasn't just been skipping around.
Yeah.
Draymond Green has been playing pretty well. The first two games he played amazing. Last two games I wouldn't say he played amazing, but he has been still giving us energy off the bench, doing what he can. So I never have a problem with that. Andre Iguodala, I can't say enough about this dude in the playoffs, man. The dude comes out to play every single time. And I know he doesn't give us a lot in the regular season. Understandable, man. It's about to be 36 next year. It's tough. I'm 36. I couldn't give you 5 minutes if I had to. So
come on, you got 3. You got 3 minutes in there.
I don't know if I got 2. Speaking. So I mean, look. My point is, the starters have been doing great. The Hampton Five, what they call them. Hiccups here and there, like I said, with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. But it seems like maybe they're kind of coming out of it. Klay, not so much. But, once he starts getting rolling, I don't have faith in Klay, so I'm not too worried about that. Houston Rockets side, James Harden has been a man among boys. And I hate to say that about my team, but James Harden has killed all the narrative about him not coming in the playoffs because he has stepped up and played the MVP basketball that he got last year. Now, I understand people don't like it.
We're going to put an asterisk on that. We're going to put an asterisk on that.
39 points a game is MVP level.
Asterisk. Just like the Boston Red Sox, when they won that series, they got a little asterisk on it. Asterisk. Put an asterisk on that.
Okay,
he might as
asterisk
well be
still.
taking steroids because that's an asterisk.
Asterisk still. It doesn't matter. If you still win, you still win. And he has been winning for at least the last two games. Chris Paul, I mean, he's playing pretty well right now. I wouldn't say he's been playing his best. I mean, of course, the antics that everybody talks about him with the fouls and stuff like that. Look, I understand that. I'm just going to say this about the Houston Rockets. It's ugly basketball. People don't like it. I know people out here in Oakland, Golden State fans hate it. They cannot stand it. But the fact of the matter is they're playing basketball as hard as they possibly can. It doesn't matter. They are winning games at least the last
But
two.
we're not playing basketball anymore, though. Like, we're not playing basketball. We had this conversation last night, so I don't want to drag this out too far. But it'd be one thing if we were really playing basketball. We're not playing basketball anymore, though. We're playing some other formulated game where one team is forced to try to follow all the rules of basketball, and then another team can kind of get away with some stuff, and they can play outside the lines of basketball. And so you're asking basketball players to play a game that isn't really basketball anymore. Now, I'm not going to harp on this issue for too much because I don't want to be one of those people that's, it's the refs, it's the data. The Warriors have a lot of issues, like we talked about. We don't have the same bench that we used to have. Our bench is god-awful, which I know you want to talk about in a minute. We don't have Andre at full health. We spent too much time and investment thinking that Boogie Cousins was going to be around all season. Even if he was, when we had him on the court, we were playing through him, and that's not our normal game anyway. And so there's a lot of other factors that go into this other than flopping and calls missed or made, right? I get all of that. I get that. There are other factors. However, when you've been playing a game a certain kind of way for 20 plus years, and you get into a situation where it's like, wait a minute, I can't play the game that I'm normally playing. I got to change my whole mentality for one team and one series because this game isn't being played in the basketball manner. I feel like that's going to throw some people off. I'm not using it as an excuse. That doesn't excuse Clay for only, I think, what is he averaging, like 15 points against the Rockets right now in the playoffs, when during the regular season he was averaging 22. You know what I'm saying? You're averaging 7 less points per game against them right now. That doesn't really excuse it. It doesn't excuse the fact that Curry is missing layups. Doesn't excuse the fact Andre Iguodala is missing dunks and Curry's missing dunks. Doesn't at all whatsoever. But it does start to get into the mentality of how you play the game, and like I know, basketball is 75 to 80% mental. And once your mental is off, it's hard to play the game. It's hard to make the physical follow once the mental is kind of messed up. And so while I want to congratulate the Houston Rockets honorably and say, okay, yeah, y'all are winning games or whatever, and James Harden is scoring points, because I don't feel like we're playing basketball as I know the game to be, I got to put that asterisk on it.
I mean, I can understand that, but it doesn't matter. I mean,
it doesn't. It doesn't.
The simple fact is, if they can do this and get away with it, they will do it and get away with it. And if they win, it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter that we sit here, we talk about it and say we hate it. It doesn't matter that Warriors fans hate it. It doesn't matter that anybody hates it. The fact of the matter is, if they are playing in June, that's all that matters. If they have a chance to win a championship, that's all that matters. If they have a chance to destroy the Warriors, the single team that they have been focusing on for the last 3 or 4 years, however they do it, that's how they do it. It does not matter to them, and they have shown that. I understand that mentally it is going to be tough for the Warriors, but this is what they're up against. It's just like if anybody, was in a boxing match, and they come out there and they've been boxing their whole life, and they've practiced a simple form and how to box, and strategically how to do it, and then somebody comes out there and just starts brawling with them, doesn't have any kind of, body stance or anything, and they just, you're trying to throw jabs, and they're jumping all over you and throwing elbows and stuff like that. If the refs and nobody calls it, it doesn't matter. They are going to win the game that way, and if you sit there and let it get in your head, that will mess you up. The Warriors have to be mentally strong, and they have to overcome this. That's all I'm saying. I understand that it is a terrible thing. It is ugly basketball, and it is upsetting to watch. But the 12 players in wearing red jerseys don't give a damn about what
No,
it
and
looks like.
I agree. I agree because I mean, as a fan, right about now, whatever we need to do to win, I'm down for that. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it takes for the Warriors to win, I'm down for it. I'm with it. I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree with it, but I'm down for wins. And yes, okay, the Rockets are doing whatever they need to do to get wins. I not gonna argue that fact whatsoever. But me personally, and we could agree to disagree, I'm still not going to consider them, if they move on and if they go on, I'm not going to consider them champions, and I'm not going to say they really won this. Me personally, I'm going to put an asterisk on it. That's just me.
And that's fine, but even still, like, let's think about this. What if they just get past us, and even if they get past us and they lose, some other team that has been playing basketball is going to win a championship. But the problem is we won't, because we let somebody get into our heads, and that's where it falls. The goal is to have a championship parade in June.
Right.
It doesn't matter how we get there. We just need to be at the parade in downtown Oakland. That's all that matters.
That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
That's
You got to
true.
be on the float. So the Warriors going to have to figure this out somehow in this game, game 5, game 6, and hopefully we don't have to go to game 7 and let it determine like it did last year. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. No.
Do you think, okay, now switching gears from off the Rockets a little bit and back internally, do you think that, and I hate that they do this, but they have to do it because the media has to do it. Do you think that free agency talk is starting to creep into the locker room? Do you think that KD's one-on-one game is actually a display for the next team that he's going for? Do you think that Klay may be a little bit more relaxed because he feels like, well, I'm getting a max deal this summer from somebody somewhere, and it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Do you think any of that has a factor, or do you not think that's playing into this?
I think it has the whole year to some extent. I wouldn't say to a major overall thing. I don't think KD has to necessarily prove to anybody who he is. I mean, he's considered the best player at this time in the world. I'm not saying I say that, but I mean, he is up there. The point is, KD's going to do whatever he wants to do. Now, everybody else is going to be affected by what KD does, and that does creep into the locker room because, yes, KD does want to. I think in KD's mind, the narrative is whether I stay or whether I leave, I'm going to show everybody I was the reason I came to this team, and I proved my point. Right. All these championships that I won was not because of this collective group. Personally, I was the missing link to add to show everybody what I can do on this biggest stage.
Right.
That situation I do agree with. In Klay's situation, I think a little bit does have to do with his mindset about, am I going to get the max? What's going to happen with everything else? Joe Lacob came out the other day and addressed the fact that he wanted Draymond Green to be a Warrior for life. I think that's great. He didn't say anything about anybody else.
Right.
And I think that's a problem in some words because if you're saying Draymond Green, who doesn't have a contract this summer to come up with it for free agency, you want him here for life. What about Klay Thompson, who does?
Right. You can afford both.
Right. And KD, yes. Don't get me wrong. KD knows that they would want him. And if he wants to leave, he wants to leave. So maybe Joe Lacob didn't say his name. But the fact of the matter is we've always just assumed that Klay Thompson was going to be here no matter what.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the misconception about Klay that people don't get. Like, people just, because he doesn't say a lot of things, they just assume that he's just going, like, he's just going to go with whatever is going on. Yeah. That maybe it doesn't bother him because he doesn't say anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Klay was the second option before Durant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was Steph's sidekick, yes, and still everybody knew, okay, well, he's the second best shooter in the world. He's this. They gave him his praise. I'm not saying they don't now. People that live in Golden State and Oakland and, Bay Area fans basically know how much value Klay Thompson has. But the world doesn't treat him like that. They just think he just comes out here, puts his hard hat on, and just goes to work, and then that's it.
Yeah, well, and I actually read somebody had the nerve to write an entire post about why they thought Klay Thompson was trash. At the end of it, I was pretty upset because I was like, clearly you don't watch basketball. Like, you don't watch a whole season of basketball. You might have judged him off these last 2 games or even last 4 games. I could say he hasn't been his best this entire series, really. But you don't watch basketball. If you have the nerve to say that Klay Thompson is trash, you don't watch basketball. Because for that same reason, he comes and puts his hard hat on and goes to work most nights out of the week. You know what I'm saying? And goes to work on both sides of the floor, offense, defense. I mean, we see it. I saw Curry get put on skates like 3 times the other night. You know what I mean? Like, Klay Thompson, easily the best on-ball defender. Easily. Easily one of the greatest knockdown shooters in the league still. Arguably one of the greatest spot-up shooters in history next to Reggie and a few others. You know what I'm saying? Ray Allen might be in that conversation, depending on, the numbers. People in stats, they get these stats, and it's like, oh, well, Curry passed this guy. He's a better shooter. Yeah, he made more. Better? Yeah, I don't know. But in any case, Klay Thompson goes to work. Klay Thompson puts in work, and Klay Thompson deserves to be respected. And like you said, if Joe Lacob came out and only mentioned Draymond Green, we already know Steph Curry, they're going to do whatever they got to make him a lifetime warrior. We're there. Right. If Durant wants to stay, they'll find the room to make Durant stay. Right. And then you said Draymond Green, you want to be a lifetime warrior. Well, if I'm Klay Thompson, I'm smart enough to do the math. There's no money in there for me. Right. So I'm not saying that's a cause for you to not play up to your potential. But at the same time, I got 3 chips. Y'all aren't trying to keep me. I might as well not injure myself for whatever team I'm going for. I can see it being a tiny little factor. I'm not going to say, because I still think Klay is professional enough to come out and still want to do his job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still think he's still going to want to, like, be a professional and still come out and do his job. But I also believe that maybe, just maybe, in the back of his mind, he's like, man, I ain't hurting the knee or twisting the ankle. You know what I'm saying? If I got to go somewhere else and get my max money, because you get injured in these playoffs, now they're looking at you like, max?
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with it. Or could play into his mindset. I think a lot of it also has to do with a lot of these guys are either banged up or tired. And what I mean by that, obviously, they've been playing and logging a lot of minutes. Now, we got to think about this. You know what I'm saying, Golden State Warrior fans, you have seen this team play for the last 5 years, pretty much, if you count this year, all the way into the finals. So I'll just say 4 years and a half because they haven't got to the finals yet. But the fact of the matter is they have been in the finals every year. That means they played the longest basketball of anybody in the entire world, not named LeBron James. You see what I'm saying?
And not just played, but have been at the top. So have won and have been playing at a high level for the last 5 years.
Right. Not to throw in the Olympics from previous, but just all of it. It's a lot that goes on with playing basketball. I know they have off the court things that they do. I mean, that is their decision, but it's still still taxing and tiring. Now, Steve Kerr usually plays these guys around 30-something minutes. A lot of times in the regular season, they get to rest because most of the time they're not playing competition that hard. So they're either winning games by a lot or, donking off games, so they'll come out. So they don't really get to log the minutes that they're logging right now. All of them are playing about 40-something minutes. Like I said earlier, Andre Iguodala is about 36 years old. To be playing close to 40 minutes is not the best thing for him. Obviously, he has a knee problem right now. Hopefully, he goes today because most likely you guys are watching this, the day of the game. But the point is, it's getting to be a little taxing for these players. Now, which brings me into the biggest point that I have to make. Okay. Steve Kerr, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I understand that this team is not, other than the starting 5 right now, is not dependable. But you have to understand that if you do not play some of these bench players at some point and find a way to use them properly, you are going to burn out your players before you even get to the finals.
Well, you already are. I mean, let's be honest. We're already burning quite a few of them out right now. And it's showing, you know what I mean? And maybe that, again, as we talk about the Klay discussion, we talk about the Curry discussion. We've seen Klay get his first real major injury this year, and we don't know. And Klay, again, talking about his hard hat coming to work, he could be hurting every day, and we don't know it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole other factor. But the fact that he knows I got to play 40 plus minutes because these guys can't play. Well, I got to shut up about this ankle and just play if it hurts. I don't know. I'm just saying. Same thing with Curry on the finger on this side, ankles. He's had ankles in the last 2 weeks. We see Durant with this shoulder thing. So yeah, that bench play is a huge factor. It's a humongous factor, and no one. And we called this at the beginning of the season. I hate that we're here now, and I hate that none of it happened. But we did call this at the beginning of the season that if you don't coach up Jordan Bell, if you don't coach up Kevon Looney, Damian Jones is useless. If you don't coach up some of these other guys, though, we'd be in the situation that we're in right now because we had no money to get anybody else.
Right.
And so, yeah, Steve Kerr. I mean, we are talking to you as real deal Warrior fans. A lot of this does fall on you that you look down your bench and go, I can't put him in right now. Damn, I can't put anybody in. And a lot of that's on you.
Right. Like I said, I understand you can't trust him now. I wouldn't trust him either. I don't like when they play because I know that they're not going to produce. But like we said, you didn't use him during the regular season. This is where it's coming back to bite you. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I'm just going to read off some of these numbers from yesterday. Jordan Bell is atrocious. Listen to me. Jordan Bell, I don't know if you're drinking Hennessy or whatever you're doing. Stop it. Cut it out. You are too young and too, I guess, athletically gifted to not be playing in the series. This is a series.
-7?
Yes. And he played 7 seconds yesterday, and he still was a minus. How do you do that? Listen, your job was to come in there and to foul, to keep James Harden from going backdoor, which he did, and he scored on you. 7 seconds you let that happen. I don't get it. You had one job, and you couldn't do that. Look, this is your series you're supposed to be playing in. When they switch, when James Harden is trying to switch to get big man, you would be perfect for that. But because nobody can trust you, you are not playing.
Right.
And I can't even blame Steve Kerr for that because you've had too many instances this year where you have blown it, done stupid things. So I don't blame him for not trusting you because at least the rest of the guys are just not gifted enough to be playing.
Yeah.
So that's on him. Like, I can't do anything with that. McKinney, I'm sorry. I understand that McKinney is a good story, but he looks like he is lost out there.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand. And I get it. This is a big time stage for anybody, but you just can't play somebody that is not going to be mentally there. And physically, I mean, he can't do a lot. He's a good offensive rebounder, but if all you're doing is jumping for basketballs, I can't play you. Because you have to guard somebody, and you have to be able to make open shots. That air ball you shot the other day is not going to fly. I am sorry. That will not work.
Yeah. And then, obviously, you keep looking further down the bench. You got Jerebko. You got Quinn Cook. Obviously, those are goose eggs. And then you got my man, S. Dot, who is clearly done. It's over for him. He needs to go ahead and hang it up.
I can't even go on a rant about Sean. Look, I understand what Sean has gone through in his career. He's had a horrific injury, and the fact that he is even on a team right now is amazing. But it is time to hang it up.
Yeah.
Like,
it's time to let it go.
He's almost unplayable in this series. And I hate to say that about him, but it is time to stop. Quinn Cook, look,
You're just not ready. You're not ready. Like, I mean, that's the easiest way to put it. You're not ready. And it's because A, you haven't been in these situations, but B, we did not make you ready. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we're not, we did not make you ready. And again, we could go back to a number of factors. Number one, as a team, I'm pretty sure they thought DeMarcus Cousins was going to be a bigger factor. You know what I mean? And having him on the floor allows Andre to come off the bench. You know what I mean? And that now we got that 6-man flow. And so Andre could come in for Boogie, come in for Draymond, come in for KD, you know what I'm saying? And swap out, and you still have 5 good on the floor. I get all of that. But again, it comes back to coaching, comes back to organizational decisions. And I'm not looking for an excuse. Like you said at the top of this, you got to do it. You still got to win. Like, I don't care what the situation is now as a fan. I need my win. I need my W. I need my last parade. I need my last few games of Oracle. Y'all got to stop playing and just win games because this is what you have now. And so now the question is, these guys, what do you do to get them 2 to 3 quality minutes at a time? Maybe you put them in spurts. Maybe you know, do it enough to where you just get your starters enough breather to get back into the game, or you pull your starters out when the foul calls are getting ugly. So that way you let one of these other dudes catch a couple foul calls so their mind is not getting messed up by this foul call stuff. I don't know what the actual remedy is, but at some point we got to do it because you can't play 5, 6 guys 40-something minutes. It's not going to work.
Right. And on the same note, I mean, this is Steve Curry's situation also. Understand who they have and understand who you have. Now, I understand that, you know, Looney hasn't been playing great this series, but he is still a player that you need for this series, especially to eat up some minutes on the bench. Quinn Cook, like I said, can't guard a fly. But the fact of the matter is you need to look down on Houston's bench and understand who they have and then counter with that. So what I mean by that is if Quinn Cook needs to come in the game, make him come in the game when Iman Shumpert comes in the game. You see what I'm saying? Iman Shumpert ain't going to give you no buckets. I will take that matchup if I have to because Iman Shumpert is not going to torch Quinn Cook for more than a few points at the most.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are little things that you can do to counter.
Yeah.
Austin Rivers is a better player than he has been, but you can use minutes at least if you need a few seconds to put him in there. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he can't guard Chris Paul. Obviously, he can't guard James Harden. Obviously, he can't guard Eric Gordon. But there are other players that you can use when they come out of the game and their bench players come in the game. Work that. Yeah. PJ Tucker can't do anything other than shoot three-pointers. I mean, yes, he is strong, and if you see him go on the block against Quinn Cook, rotate down. There are ways that you can combat whatever they do. I understand that they like to do a certain way and they like to switch different things. Stop switching.
Yeah. If you notice in that fourth quarter, we actually stopped them from scoring when we stopped switching on the screen. When we left the man that was supposed to be guarding Harden or Chris Paul on him, you know what I'm saying? And we stopped switching the screens. They started missing more shots, and, you know, we were able to get a push when we stopped with the screen switch. My only fear with not switching the screen is that if they go on a hot streak and they're able to shoot over the dude not switching, you know what I'm saying, then we gotta think of another, you know what I'm saying, strategy. But at least for the fourth quarter of last night's game, you're absolutely right. Once we stopped switching screens, we were able to kind of play up on them a little better.
Right. So, and, you know, in fairness, look, I'm going to give Houston his credit. I'm going to give D'Antoni his credit. They changed up. They figured out – I wouldn't say they figured out what the Warriors were doing, but they knew they needed to make adjustment. It's a game of chess. You know what I'm saying? Now it's Steve Kerr. Now it's your time.
Yep.
Understand what they've done to gain the momentum. Take it away. Look, Warriors fans, you guys need to understand this. We just talked about this a little earlier. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is the last game at Oracle Arena because I would not ever believe that. I think that they will get past the Rockets in 6, possibly 7. I don't want to go to 7 because I cannot stand Game 7s. But I do feel that the Warriors will win. But I'm telling you right now, make sure you understand this as Warrior fans. If you think that the Houston Rockets are going to go 0 for 27 like they did last year, it's not going to happen.
No.
Do not.
Part of the reason why they're not is because so many people have been bringing that up.
Exactly. Do not let what happened last year to this team sway you on what's going to happen this year.
Right.
I'm telling you, this is a different Houston Rocket team. James Harden has been playing different. I mean, he plays the same, but he is in different and better shape. Chris Paul is healthy as of now, so he is still playing in this series. You know what I'm saying? Do not let today, because I'm sure you're watching this today before the game, do not let this be the last game at Oracle Arena.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Please. If you're going to the game, cheer your ass off.
Yeah.
Please get the momentum back. I believe that Clay will probably come out of his slump. I think he will have a much better game shooting at home. Once he gets in his bed, kicks it with Rocco for a while, he will be happy again. he will
You
be
know the
able
man's
to shoot.
dog's name? Jesus.
I do know his dog's name because that's his best friend. He knows Rocco. Rocco is the man. When he is with Rocco, Clay is all smiles. I am telling you right now, he loves that dog probably more than he loves his chick. So that's fine with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't whatever it takes for you to shoot better, shoot better. That's it. Steph, go home, have Aisha cook you a good meal, kick it with your kids, see Cannon and everybody like that, your son, be happy. Come to the thing, be happy. Kevin Durant, continue to do what you're doing. Iguodala, go get that treatment. You better be getting treatment right now. Round the clock, just make sure that knee is good. And Draymond, keep playing with the intensity that you always play with.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr, make the adjustments. And God damn it, you on the bench. I see how to block my own self from saying that.
I just need 2 minutes at a time, bro.
Just act like this is the biggest stage because it is.
It is.
Play your ass off.
Because hey, on some real, on the for real though, none of y'all will be back next year. So none of y'all will be at a game.
Look at this as tryouts for another team. If that's what you have to do, I don't care. Because I'm telling you right now, it is easier for you to get a bigger contract somewhere else when you have a ring on your finger.
Yeah.
People will appreciate what you do more when you have a ring to show for it. So just keep it up, or not keep it up because you haven't been doing nothing. Get it up. Yeah, keep going. Do better.
Let's go.
No, that straight numbers is dead. But just give me some strength. How about that?
Yeah.
Just give me some strength off the bench, please.
Oh man. Well, I think that's enough said on that. Sean B. Flagrant has pleaded to the Warrior Nation, Warrior fans, and the organization. We need everything tonight. We need it to come out in a big way. So tonight, Game 5. Y'all make sure y'all check it out. I know y'all are. Hella Flagrant, the podcast. You can replay this. You can replay our other NBA special and all our other episodes on our YouTube and on our website, theflagrantfoul.com, as shown down at the bottom right there. You can check out all these episodes and all these little cutaways at theflagrantfoul.com. And we'll be doing much more of this as the playoffs continue. And as the NBA season starts to wind down. So tune in with us on the Flagrant Foul, on our YouTube, on our social medias, and we'll keep bringing this stuff to you.
That's right, Hella Flagrant. The podcast episode 11 is about to be dropping pretty soon. So please look out for that. Like we said, we doing this all the time for y'all. We still have these shirts available too. www.hellaflagrant.com. We will be having new shirts soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
I think you guys will like them.
Yes. They do matter for the playoffs. And trust me, you will want your shirt once the Warriors get past this series and get to the finals. Because that's all we're going to be talking about. Because I promise you, if they don't, I will be back on this thing and I will be going off. So
I don't want to see that. I really don't.
You do not, because everybody will get it. I'm telling you right now. So anyway, like I said, thank y'all for listening, watching. You know what I'm saying? Peace.
We out.